Welcome to our deep dive. Our mission today is to thoroughly analyze the Altus Now Q1 2026 update. We're going to see exactly how a massive Malaysian logistics and oil and gas support organization balances high-stakes machinery with the psychological endurance of the actual people operating it.
Right, because they are juggling heavy industrial aviation, offshore port operations, and intense regulatory bottlenecks all at the exact same time.
Exactly. So let's jump right in. What strikes me immediately in the opening section, this is right around page 3, is that they do not lead with their tonnage moved or like their total flight hours.
Yeah, which you would normally expect.
Right. Instead, they lead with a section called Altus Says, which focuses entirely on the cognitive and philosophical framework of their team. I mean, they have employees sharing personal life lessons. Let's look at what they actually chose to highlight. You have Dorina talking about a lesson she learned years ago, that punctuality is a fundamental sign of respect.
And in the context of offshore logistics, punctuality isn't just about being polite. It's about operational integrity.
Right.
And you see that same focus on psychological endurance echoed in Haji Izzuddin's point too.
Oh, about trust.
Yeah, about how trust requires deep vulnerability and patience. Or even Delilah's note on maintaining humility when you're facing intense uncertainty.
Because in the oil and gas sector, volatility is pretty much the only constant.
Exactly. These aren't just nice motivational quotes. They are actual coping mechanisms for volatility management.
And then there's a quote on that page that just says, live a little, like a reminder to take a sip of water before the end of the 5K run. It's such a blatant reminder of human limits. The aviation update on pages 4 and 5, we transition directly into the brute mechanics. Yeah, specifically their MPOB aerial spraying operations.
Right, the Malaysia Palm Oil Board bagworm infestation response.
Yeah.
This is where their operational agility really gets put to the test.
So they tackled 3,522 hectares between mid-January and early February across areas like Air Kuning and Bagan Datuk. And they have thousands more to go.
It's a massive scale.
It is. But the real structural shift detailed on it's the integration of the EA Vision J100 agricultural drones alongside their traditional helicopter fleet.
This is such an interesting development. Major Zulkifli and his team are running what they call a hybrid model.
Which means using drones for areas under 500 hectares and helicopters for the massive operations, right?
Exactly. And this isn't just an organization adopting new technology just so they can put out a flashy innovation press release. This is about optimizing pure physics.
How so? Like, what's the physics behind choosing one over the other?
Well, think about the aerodynamics of a helicopter. It generates massive rotor downwash. For mature palm estates, that violent downwash actually helps push the chemical agent deep into the thick canopy where the bagrooms hide.
Oh, wow. So the helicopter is actually doing double duty there.
Right. But if you deploy that same helicopter over a dense, say, 400-hectare durian farm or paddy field,
you'd probably destroy the crops.
You'd risk immense structural damage to those delicate crops, yes. So the drones step in to provide this terrain-following precision that a helicopter fundamentally cannot achieve without unacceptable risk margins.
So it's like using a scalpel versus a broadsword in agriculture. So they've managed to optimize the airspace with this hybrid approach. But flipping to pages 6 through 8, looking at the Johor port operations and Labuan updates, it shows exactly how they manage the incredible friction of ground logistics. Looking at page 6 and 7, in January alone, the Johor team is hammering through K3 customs clearances for RedTech offshore.
Right.
They're rushing K1 provisional declarations for LGPC, and they're handling massive K8 clearances for Sapura's heavy-duty reels coming out of Singapore.
Again, keep in mind, while all of this paperwork is flying around, they are physically doing surface preparation on the ground.
The heavy blasting and coating of anchors and buoys for Valester's Nuggy A3 rig, yeah.
Yeah.
And Mr. Zulfadli is out there running intricate crane condition inspections for a disposal bid.
Notice the simultaneous execution required here. The physical blasting of a multi-ton marine anchor is a straightforward matter of physics and anti-corrosion science.
Right, it's just heavy lifting.
But securing that K1 provisional declaration before the final valuation comes through, that is high-stakes regulatory chess.
I've always thought of customs clearances, like these K1, K3, K8 forms, as the invisible grease of the supply chain. If one single form is out of place, the entire airspace goes into a holding pattern. By getting that K1 provisional declaration, they bypass the demurrage trap entirely, right?
Exactly. Anyone operating out of Johor Labuan knows that demurrage fees will obliterate a quarter's profit margin faster than almost any physical operational failure. Right. The capability to force that paperwork through the bottleneck while simultaneously mobilizing crews for the SPM Surya in Laboon.
Oh, page 8 covers the Laboon team navigating all those Perkiso and immigration hurdles for the work permit.
Yeah, neutralizing that bureaucracy is their actual product.
Yeah.
Clients don't just pay them to move anchors.
You know, seeing the sheer volume of these clearances, I'd argue the paperwork actually requires more brute force than the Nagi 3 anchors.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
I mean, the physical lifting is handled by massive cranes, but the regulatory lifting relies entirely on the team's ability to maintain leverage and flawless accuracy with local customs authorities. Is logistics today more about fighting bureaucracy than moving physical objects?
That's a highly accurate assessment. Regulatory friction is the ultimate variable in offshore operations. If they don't clear those K-8 transshipments seamlessly, Sapura's entire operational timeline halts.
It's a cascading failure.
Exactly. A delay at the port means the supply vessel is delayed, which means the rig halts operations, which burns capital at an astonishing rate.
Which brings us to the internal mechanisms required to sustain that level of brute force leverage without the team burning out entirely. Looking at the HR and support services updates on pages 9 and 10, you can see they are engineering their internal communication very deliberately.
Yes, the total restructuring of their Thursday talk format really stood out.
Right. Based on a 2025 culture survey, they didn't just tweak an existing meeting. They rebuilt it into 3 distinct modules: Collab Talk from the unit and a leader slot.
It's a very structured approach to corporate communication.
And they're also pushing academia industry links with Netherlands Maritime University College. They're running balanced scorecard clinics, performance improvement plan clinics.
Don't forget the KWSP Islanding Awareness Sessions for life insurance. Ah, yes, the QHSE pages. They just went through their Bureau Veritas ISO recertification.
Across Kuala Lumpur and Laboon, yeah. Maintaining ISO 9001, 14001, and 45001. Maintaining those 3 simultaneously across multiple geographic branches is a massive administrative load.
It really is. You are balancing quality speed against environmental safety and occupational hazards all at once.
And they passed with only 3 minor nonconformance reports, which they closed out immediately. Add to that their impressive 2025 stats. 0 lost time injuries, a 3.90 customer satisfaction score, and the rollout of their 2026 ESG roadmap.
That level of sustained compliance does not happen by accident. It is heavily engineered.
But here is where I see a massive tension in the document.
Where is that?
Well, on one hand, you have this intensely scheduled, rigid environment. You have the heavily structured Thursday talks. You have the meticulously planned Safe Start campaign rolling out in late March. You have the ESG roadmaps.
Right, very planned out.
But on the other hand, page 13 casually notes this sudden, short-notice respirator fit test training for Isidore, Walter, and Stewart, which was triggered by an immediate audit observation from Mubadala. Page 14 highlights a highly tactical logistical move: the launch of a new scheduled trucking service connecting Keemaman Supply Base and Tuck Bali Supply Base.
The KSB to TBSB route.
Right, operating on a stripped Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday schedule to minimize hidden costs.
Which is a very strategic play to create predictability in a notoriously volatile market. By fixing the schedule, they allow clients to optimize their inventory carrying costs.
But what genuinely fascinates me is the juxtaposition on that exact same page.
This social media push.
Yes, right next to this heavy-duty, highly rigid logistics route is a massive push for modern marketing. They are celebrating the return of the Altus Social Star program, giving a nod to Humam for winning in 2025.
And launching the new Altus Oil and Gas Instagram account.
They are welcoming new staff members across their branches, which obviously indicates serious growth.
Right, they're expanding.
They are also optimizing their spatial workflows with office relocations in Johor and the AFM fulfillment warehouse. But interspersed with all that hard logistical data are photos of staff activities.
The community building events.
Yeah. The Johor team at a bowling session to kick off the year, office birthdays with cake, and a Buka Puasa event breaking fast together at Johor Port.
And again, you have to look at the underlying mechanism here. These aren't just filler photos to make the newsletter look pretty. They are documented evidence of psychological safety.
Looking back across the entirety of this Q1 2026 update, it is clear this document is not just a ledger of completed tasks or a mechanical table of contents.
Not at all.
From the psychological grounding of the employees on page 3, up into the optimization of airspace with the drone and helicopter hybrid fleet on page 5.
Down to the regulatory leverage at the customs bottleneck in Johor and Labuan.
Right, and finally to the internal trust building required to sustain it all with the Thursday talks and the Buka Puasa events. It really is a singular, unified ecosystem. We'll catch you next time.